Alright guys, I'm back again with another event recap. For those of you who are new to the channel, this is essentially where I go to regionals or YCSs, I scrub out, and then I come and tell you guys about it. On a serious note, I finally had the chance to play with the Horus engine. I originally was not the biggest fan of this engine. However, I did a lot of testing over the last 3 weeks and came up with a list that I really liked. That being said, I didn't have enough time to like get super familiar with it and get super familiar with every matchup, as even during these 3 weeks I was pretty busy. But I genuinely enjoyed the deck. I honestly wouldn't change anything. I for once my basically for once, like, the main thing that I was happy about, that I feel like I've not been super excited about, or not excited but like super content with post an event, was my side deck. I really enjoyed the idea I had behind my side deck. I think the decisions I made for my side deck was great. I think the last minute decisions I made changing my main deck were really good as well, and unfortunately it just didn't go our way. I ended up it was an 8-round regional. I ended up technically 5-3, so I lost 3 times. However, really it was 5-4, but the reason why it was 5-4 is because the last round I already had my invite. The only reason after I went X2 I continued playing was just to play with the Horus cards, since I don't actually have them. So I was like, you know what, this is an opportunity to test with them as much as I can, and I'm glad I did so. But anyways, my last round opponent, prior to the match starting, I already signed the slip, and then we decided to play it out for fun, and I won 2-1 against Runic for Higher Sprite that last match. And yeah, so basically I played 8 matches and I won 5 of them. Out of those 5, 2 of them were honestly just straight up variants. Like, it was not anything I could have done better or worse. However, the last one that I lost was against Hani Jawari, and that one was completely my fault. To be fair, I was a bit nervous, not because of the regional itself, because at that point I was already X2 and I didn't even care about losing. I kind of was just, I've been wanting to play against, because, Hani, LeBlanc, Kamal, all live in Florida, and I've been wanting to play against one of them at a regional for a while now, and I finally got my chance. I kind of blew it, but it's fine. So here's the list, guys. I know a lot of people were asking me about it at the regional. They were surprised to see me with Horus, and yeah, I did end up playing a very different list from the list I've been seeing online. And I really like it, because the thing is, one of my main complaints that I had with the Horus engine was essentially that if you drew the Horus engine like too much, and then you drew like maybe 1 brick and then like 1 or 2 non-engine, you just weren't really getting to Cherubini. So a lot of the times I was seeing players using Dark as link fodder to then make Bardiche, and I genuinely don't like that. Like, if I'm not making Cherubini, I'm not happy. So I kind of took a take on basically like Pac videos, where he was basically complaining about this format, talking about how you don't know whether to play what non-engine to play, whether it's hand traps or board breakers. And I was like, you know what? How about we don't play any? Of course, I did end up playing Droplets, but Droplets is honestly the best non-engine in this deck, and I completely agree with it. So the way I actually started deck building with this is, originally there was no non-engine at all. I believe this was like a second or maybe even third e-telly. And that was like the list. And then I slowly was like, okay, maybe I need a little bit. So I started with Talents, because Talents is like the most versatile one. And if you're not playing any, I thought Talents was good. But with the Unchained matchup being a little bit bad now without no non-engine, and with like Mannadium going first, without the counter trap, this thing, I realized Droplets was going to be really good, and I definitely am glad I did play Droplets. It put in a decent amount of work, and I really like it. I did play 41, which I don't like. At least it supposedly circumvents drawing the bricks, which you have a few of them now. Honestly, guys, if you wanted to just cut the Legal Knight to play 40, that would be perfectly fine. I personally love a Legal Knight, and I will not be cutting it. So this list is probably going to stay exactly as is, because I was extremely happy with the performance and the hands and pretty much everything. Like, I honestly didn't really brick much at all. And yeah, the side deck is what I was happiest about, because like I said, I've had not been super content with my side recently in other events. But the way I did this is I actually divided it in 3 sections of 5. So each section of 5 was supposed to cover 2 matchups. So these were supposed to cover Infernoble and Mannadium. Then these were supposed to be for Rescue Ace and Branded. And then these were supposed to be for Purrely and Unchained / Centurion because of the Calamities lock. So this one covered 3. Honestly, I felt like I knew exactly what I needed to side in every scenario. I knew exactly what to side out. Like everything felt very smooth. And Nicholas is one of the other really good PvK players in the Florida community. He voted against this when we were testing. I chose to go with this because in testing I saw many hands that were working with it every time. And honestly, I completely agree with the decision. Unfortunately, I didn't draw it when it was needed. So a quick go over my matches. My first match was against Purrely. Funny enough, we rolled dice, and he rolled an 11, and then I rolled a 12, which made me feel really lucky. But then I proceeded to draw the only like brick hand of the entire tournament, and I also lost the next 5 dice roll in a row. I did win that game 2-0. My hand for game 1 was double Fogblade, a Right, a Shade Brigadine, and I'd be lying if I said I remember the other card. It might have been, I think it was like a oh yeah, it was a Doomatef. It was a Doomatef. So basically I set 2 Fogblades, grabbed Right, grabbed Griffin, and passed. And that was enough to stop him from doing any Purrely plays, because that's what he was on. He was on Purrely. It was enough to stop him doing any Purrely plays. He pretty much just got to a Zeus and then Zeus wiped. And left me with no cards, but I still had Shade Brigadine and Draco back still in hand. And so from there, what I did is essentially I drew Torn Scales, and I was like, okay, I need to draw Torn Scales or M-Steady and then draw into Torn Scales off M-Steady. I drew Torn Scales, and that was pretty much a wrap at that point because all he had was the Zeus, so I just normaled the Torn Scales. At this point, I have 2 Fogblades in graveyard, so he can't just Zeus swipe the Torn Scales again. I pitched, I think it was Draco back, and got the Cloak. Cloak search for the boots, summon the boots, make a Break Sword, threaten the Zeus. He Zeus wipes. Then I Fogblade, bring back the boots. Then Torn Scales bring itself back, make another Break Sword, and play from there. And he was pretty much unable to break the board I made at that point. I don't believe I killed that turn. But I was able to pretty much just get into an advantageous position and win from there. Then after that, I was able to go into game 2, and let me just check something. Perfect. All right. Game 2, he went first, and I drew Droplet, Boots, Greaves, M-Steady, Water Enchantress, and I think that's it. Is that 5? Or is that 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then and then I think a brick. And a Illegal Knight. Sorry, Illegal Knight was the last card. That was the 6th card. So basically, he had a Noir with 5 mats, and I go M-Steady, pitch Water. He goes Ash Blossom. I'm like, great, cool. You know, that was the first time I get to activate M-Steady, pitch Water, and in real life, and unfortunately, he got Ash. So I was like, whatever, it's fine. You know, Water Enchantress. He goes Bell. I'm like, ah, my god. But then I just normal Stain Greaves. He immediately tries to spin. I chain the Droplet. I send the Legal Knight, negate it. He had no sets. I summon Boots, and then I proceed to OTK him because he had no other interruptions. It was down 500 from my friend, and I was able to put 77 damage on board, and we won that game. The next round was against Mannadium, and it was against Willie. He's a cool guy. I've talked to him at multiple regionals. I say he's a friend. He ended up getting 3rd place, so congratulations to him. We had a pretty good game. He won die roll. He went first. He made SP Baron, Bistio Dispatter, and 2 sets. And I don't think he was on he was not on Realm Eulogy because he didn't search it turn 1. And then I honestly think he might have just not been on Amritara at all because he didn't search Counter Trap in our game 3. So I don't know. I gotta see his list. But game 1, he sets up that board. I do not draw droplets. And then I basically do the same play that you do to attempt to break the board, which is you attempt the Zeus line. I had drawn Mannadium in my hand with, I want to say it was a Dumatef that hand as well. So I proceed to attempt to break the board, but the thing is that my hand was Boots, Shade, Mannadium, gloves, 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to say Dumatef, and then either a right something. I don't know what the last card was. Essentially, he knows how the deck works pretty well. So when I normal summoned gloves, he hit me with an econ and took the gloves. So I was like, okay, interesting. I summoned Shade, summoned Boots, go into a dark, and then I'm at this position where I'm like, okay, I can swing at the SP and get rid of it, and that will deal with the SP permanently, or I can swing at the gloves, then activate Dark's effect next phase, and then he's gonna SP that, so that way I get rid of the SP and I make sure that I get a card in graveyard. That was actually the correct option because he also had droplets face down, which is one of the things I thought he had face down because everyone playing Mannadium right now, if they're not on hand traps, they're on econ droplets. And so if I had attacked with Dark, he might have dropleted it, and then it would have just died. Regardless, if I had attacked with Darks, then he let it go through. Or he could have just honestly just activated Droplet, sending the SP instead of the Dark, and then Dark would have been too weak to do anything, and effect would have been negated, so I would have just had to crash. But the thing is that crashing doesn't do anything, because the only thing that I can really search at that situation is Tsushunoko as an extender, because I've already used my normal summon, but like I'd have to Tsushunoko resolve, and then I'd have to draw into an extender, and then I still have to it just wasn't happening. So yeah, unfortunately he just had it. If he hadn't had econ and droplets together, maybe I would have been able to break through the board, but he did, so that doesn't matter. Game 2, I established board. I honestly went for a weaker board for some reason, because for those of you who don't know my combo, I basically end on 6 to 7 interruptions like every other hand, and I will be posting a combo video explaining those. But I went on a weaker board and ended up with a lot of follow-up. But I know the Mannadium deck well, and I was able to interrupt at the correct times, and so I was able to win that game. And then game 3, my hand, I set it in 5, these 5. My hand was Mannadium, Dumatef, Cloak, Foolish Burial, and Illegal Knight. That was my hand before I drew for turn. And I was like, oh my god, if I draw raw, I cook. I cook, boys. I did not cook because I did not draw raw. So I got cooked. I drew a Boots, so I did the exact same thing. I tried to go for a Zeus line. He basically, I actually did something spicy. I summoned the Legal Knight first to see if he would SP. I could have gone straight battle there, but then that wouldn't have been able to Zeus line, so I did still go like normal special and then make break sword, and then I go battle, and my intention was to swing, because if he had one set this time. I was hoping the one set was droplets, because I was going to swing with a Legal Knight, which is what I did at SP, and then I was going to attempt to swing with break sword at a defense dispatcher. But unfortunately, he had econ, so when I swung with a Legal Knight, he just took the break sword, and then on top of that, his field spell made my Illegal Knight like 100 attack weaker or something, and so like I couldn't even just crash him into break sword to attempt to like play Yu-Gi-Oh. So yeah, I mean I lost. It is what it is. That's what I mean by variance, guys. Like it's not like I had anything that I could have done different there. Unfortunately, I didn't draw the side card, and it is what it is. But what I felt happy about was the fact that, like, if I had slided draws within the 5, I wouldn't have drawn it unless, like, I would have changed up my siding pattern. But, like, more than likely, I wouldn't have drawn it because I didn't draw it. Like, I didn't draw a side card. If I had drawn, if I had sided, like, I don't know, Ashes or any other hand trap, like, I might have not been able to stop the combo enough, because he started with Fenrir. He did a lot. Whereas I still had the potential to draw as my 6th card the Raw or the Lava Golem, which would have won me the game. And that felt really good, knowing that, first of all, it does work, because we went over it. He didn't have hand traps. He just had an econ, so I would have still been able to play through the entire board. So yeah, it's the fact that like I just feel like I made the correct decision with that sidecar because if I had seen it, it would have been insane, and that's what made me pretty happy. So honestly, this regional is kind of weird because I'm usually a little salty after losing at a regional, but wasn't salty at all. I am actually pretty happy on like my deck building, on how the deck performed and everything. So then the next game I played against Nikolai, shout out to him, shout out to his channel, Solo Gaming. He was on Centurion. Unfortunately, even though I was smart enough to main that droplets, I didn't see it game one because he went Dyro, he went Calamities, and I just basically set Fogblade pass and got cooked. My hand was like also not unplayable because if I had like not been Calamities lock, it was playable, or if I went first, it was playable. But it was like Sarcophagus, Cloak, Torn Scales, and Happy, which was a brick, but that was fine because they pitched it off Sarcophagus. These four, a Fogblade, that's 5. And I'd be lying if I said I remember what the last card was, what the card I drew for turn was. So yeah, I got Calamities locked, couldn't really do anything past, and he basically, it was a Legal Knight, because then during his turn, I summoned the Legal Knight, and I attempted to like Fogblade it, but the Centurion Synchro just like destroyed it, and it was just Jover. It was Jover. Game 2, I went first. I don't think I sided anything at all going first. I just went with my straight main deck. He hit me with a Veiler and a DD Crow, which was not enough to stop me from still ending on like 3 or 4 interruptions, and that was enough to stop the deck. Then game 3, I sided these in, and I again feel very happy about having made this correct decision because like one of the cards that was like up in the air was Book of Moon for me. Like I was like, I don't know if like how like that did not do what I wanted to do. I don't know like whether or not like siding Book of Moon is actually that effective. It's not a blowout card, but honestly, it kind of is against the matchup that I want it to be, and I thought it was a good decision. Even though like some of my testing partners didn't agree, and it was a great decision. If I had drawn Book of Moon, I'd be a god. Unfortunately, I drew Chalice instead because with this I have 5 here and then 3 here, so that's 8 ways to stop the Crimson Dragon. The thing is, if you don't know how Centurion works, they're trap cards in the spell and trap card zones, but then they summon themselves when you summon, and then they synchro summon. They already have 1 level 12 synchro on board, but they can't get 2. They pretty much cannot get 2, so they have 1 level 12 synchro on board, and then when you do something, then they summon, and then they make Crimson on the main phase and do that. So in the draw phase, there's no Crimson Dragon to negate. Unfortunately, there's only the level 12 synchro, which cannot be, like, if you negate it, it doesn't matter. They can still target it for Crimson Dragon. However, if you book it, even if you book it, like, I would personally wait for them to target it with Crimson, because you can still book it in chain to Crimson, and then it won't resolve. However, in the draw phase, if they have anti-spell, you obviously don't have that luxury, so if you draw a Book of Moon, you get to chain it, and you just win. Unfortunately, I did not draw Book of Moon. I drew Chalice, and he did have anti-spell, and so I couldn't Chalice him. I actually chained E-Telly, and basically my line was normal, Torn Scale, special, boots. He had 2 4K beaters in attack mode nonetheless, so I made a Break Sword and swung into one of them to deal damage to myself, and then I proceeded to I didn't use Break Sword's effect because I wanted to go for a Zeus, so I go Boots effect to search a Fogblade, Torn Scale's effect to attempt to summon itself because I had summoned a Wielder. I had gone like I think it was normal Torn Scale, special Wielder, special Boots, and I was going to use this and that to make another Break Sword to then go Downer Zeus, which would have been, I think that would have honestly won me the game. Unfortunately, he had another DD Crow, and yeah, anti-spell DD Crow Calamities is just something that I'm just not beating. I'm just not. Unfortunately, if he didn't draw that side card, I would have won, but he did draw it. And it is what it is. It's just variances format. There are some decks that unfortunately they go first. They have a very, very high chance of winning. You do have counter side cards that could stop them, but then they also have counter side cards, and that's why you want cards that like will work even through the counter sides. So maybe if these had been like 2 additional books, but like that would either be that he only had 1 monster at that point, so it'd have to be Book of Eclipse, which means If he has Ash, it just stops it too. So there's never a scenario where you're just perfect. I think I came as close as possible to being it. I sided in a card, which is Book of Moon, which actually had no way of being stopped except for Judgment. And if I had drawn it, it would have been insane. I did not draw it. It is what it is. And then again, I played against Branded, beat them. Played against Labyrinth, beat them. Played against Branded Chimera, beat them. All of those were 2-0s except for the Branded player game 1, because Branded game 1, instead of Gimmick Puppet locking me, he Jowgened me, which I was fine with because I had Droplet, so I actually let the Albion resolve to then get a body, and then I negated the Jowgen and the Clem he had. He then proceeded to have one back row left, and I'm like, oh, it's Branded in red, I'm good, I'm cooking, whatever. It was game 1, by the way. Ended up being Spellbound, and Spellbound definitely caught me off guard. And he got that game, but I got games 2 and 3, and we cooked. I played Hani in like the 6th round or something. At this point, we were both X2. We did not care, to be honest. I was nervous, not because I was playing in the regional and I was X2, because I didn't care. I had my invite already, and it was top 16. So I thought in my head X2s were not going to even get top 16. 2 X2s actually made it to top 8, which is crazy, but anyways, in my head, I didn't care about that. I was just a little nervous because I have been wanting to play against them, and yeah, like I was just nervous. Game 1, so I'm not gonna lie, like just playing him and analyzing our match after, I feel like I learned more about Purrely than I've ever learned from like playing Purrely a million times. So game 1, he activated a quick play. It was happy. He summoned Purple Cat, and then he searched for the trap card to go into Noir during my turn. And I was a little confused as to why he searched for trap card instead of my friend, and I realized now that was because he doesn't have any other quick plays. Because if he had another quick play, then from there he could search for my friend search for Sleepy, and then do plays, but he wouldn't be able to guarantee getting the trap card. This way, he guaranteed getting the trap card. He then activated Field Spell, set 2, and passed. And then he made Noir with 4 materials on top of the Happy, and drew 2 because the Field Spell got him the Sleepy in the graveyard. So my hand was like a combination of both the dangers, I believe in M-Seti and something else, and the hand variated from there. I know I had to go. I got a Ghost Strike from the M-Seti. Basically, I started flooding the board with monsters. At a point, I had Jackalope, Tsushinoko on board. I had cards in graveyard. He only had 2 spins, so he had to be very smart with the spins he made. And Water Enchanters hit the graveyard. I grabbed right, activated right. I also summoned a Wielder before this, so I had on board Wielder, Tsushinoko, and Jackalope. I then proceeded to grab right, activate right. Right got Faithful, and then that forced out the first spin because he can't let me get Draco back and Griffin. Then I made Cherubini with Wielder and Tsushinoko. He spun back the Cherubini. Then I just normal summoned Gloves and made another Cherubini. Played from there. But when I went Bardiche, it got impermed, and then when I went Break Sword, Bardiche got impermed, and then Break Sword got Bailored, which caught me off guard. Then I went Battle. I swung. I kind of forgot about the Field Spell, but it is what it is. I probably shouldn't. I mean, in hindsight, maybe I should have left the Noir on the board because it has no materials. Yeah, that probably would have been the correct thing to do. Maybe. I'm not even entirely sure, guys. But he summoned Purple Cat, search for something. I swung over the Purple Cat, swung directly for 2,000. And then I made Zeus, and I had the play in line, so I set Fogblaze, set Wings. He was only on like 2 cards in hand. So essentially, he summoned a Purple Cat, went for something, grabbed the My Friend, went for Happy, attempted Battle. In Battle, I allowed Battle to get there, but then in Battle, I Zeus wiped. And then I don't know if he thought I was out of interruptions now because I Zeus wiped my own board, or if he knew what was happening, it just didn't matter. He normal summoned White Cat. Unfortunately, he missed off White Cat, and then when he activated My Friend, I destroyed the My Friend because I brought back Bardiche first off of Fogblade, and then I brought back Break Sword off of Wings, and I popped the My Friend, and that was it. He scooped. We went game 2, and so game 2 here is where I start misplaying. basically, a few things happened. So he went for his plays, and then at the end, he prosperitied into summon limit. So honestly, this is actually my fault. I thought summon limit said the same thing as Nibiru, which I'm gonna pull up Nibiru real quick so I can see. Yeah, it says if your opponent normal or special summons. So I thought that that's what it said. So I thought flip summons didn't count towards it, and so if it had counted, if I had known it counted, I would have actually easily won. I don't want to say easily either, but still. First thing I saw when he had summon limit, first thing I thought of was shout out to Fix Form. He's another really good Yu-Gi-Oh! PK Yu-Gi-Oh! Player, and he cited summon limits, which I don't agree with necessarily with citing it for a few reasons, but I do agree with his logic of that the Horus engine plays very well through it, which is the first thing I was thinking of it. So I went into the Horus engine with Mannadium, but the thing is, I was a little worried that because what happened is I book-a-mooned the Happy, so he didn't get to Noir. So I was worried that he pretty much was going to kill me with Happy if I didn't have at least 2 interruptions. So instead of grabbing my Happy and summoning it, I summoned Shushinoko for a draw, and I didn't draw an extra interruption. I did, however, get a Fog Blade off of Boots, and I ended on Mannadium and Tsushinoko, and I let him go. Basically, he then flip summons the Happy. I thought this didn't count towards it, and he uses Happy. Chainlink 1, he activates the spell card. Chainlink 2, he activates Happy. Chainlink 3, I Fog Blade Happy. Chainlink 4, he activates another spell, and then Chainlink 5, he uses Happy and bounces Fog Blade. Here's where I throw the game entirely. He flip summoned the Happy. That counted towards his limit. He was under summon limit himself. I had Mannadium face up. First of all, if I had Mannadium and Happy, I would have cooked, because then Happy would have added 2 cards back. But regardless, even with just Mannadium and Tsushinoko, I should have Mannadium the Happy away. And then he would have triggered the field spell, triggered the Pretty, or my friend, and he would have added back Infinity. But he would not have been able to exceed summon, because the first summon the summon off field spell would have been his only other summon, and then he would have just lost, like outright just lost, and I would have won 2-0. But unfortunately, I was under the impression that summon limit was like Nibiru. To be honest, it doesn't matter too much, like win or lose that game. Like I wasn't going to top, because I lost really, really early in the tournament, and I honestly was just trying to use the Horus engine as much as I could. So this was honestly a few things. It was my unfamiliarity with the Horus engine, my not knowing the summon limit, etc. But yeah, if I would have just Mannadium away the Happy, then I pretty much just win there, because he doesn't have a way of getting to an exceed. He's under his own summon limit, and I pretty much just cook. Game 3, I go first, and I draw double droplet. Right. And I believe it was a Torn Scales. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. And then I don't know if it was the 5th card was. Oh, it was a Book of Moon. It was a Book of Moon that was in here. So I drew double droplet, 1 right, 1 Phantom Knight Torn Scales, and 1 Book of Moon. So I forced to use this to grab this, and then of course I get hit with the rock. It is what it is. I ended on Fog Blade, Droplet, Book of Moon, and then I kept a Droplet in my hand. I held him at making an SP and making a Pretty Memory and passing. I drew a Book of Moon for turn. So now my hand was just 1 Book of Moon, 1 Droplet, but I had in graveyard a Fog Blade and a Bardiche, and I also had a Water Enchantress in graveyard. So what I did and what I should have done is completely wrong. I misplayed this like 5 different ways. So essentially what I did is I grabbed water, grabbed right, summoned token swung into SP. He then chained the quick play to attempt to then chain the Pretty to switch positions with the token. But I chained Book of Moon targeting the Pretty, and then he chained SP targeting the token and SP. And so that got rid of the token permanently, and his thing was booked. We were in a simplified game state. He had my friend up. I should have I summoned Bardiche off Fogblade, and then I set Shade, dumped Cloak, And for some reason, I thought I had another PK name, so I grabbed Stingraves instead of Boots, and I went for a Raiders Night play to like clear the whole board. But then I realized I didn't have that play live, so I should have grabbed the Boots. I should have used Boots and Shade to make Dark into SP, banish my friend, and then from there, I would have set Fogblade. I had another Droplets. I set Droplets, and then he's just on SP Pretty, and then he drew an Ash return. So like I pretty much just controlled the board state and win from there, and we would have cooked. Unfortunately, we did not cook. we did not cook, boys. We misplayed. We misplayed heavy because my friend was protected by the my friend was protected by the Happy. So yeah, I just misplayed heavily there, but I misplayed even heavier, which I didn't realize until like literally on the car ride back, like 1 hour and a half into the car ride, I realized I could have OTK'd. I could have actually OTK'd him. It's crazy because I knew the Happy. So like literally what I would have done is I would have gone Book of Moon, chain Droplet. That gets rid of the my friend. I mean, it gets rid of the Happy, and it puts the SP as at 800. And it negates it unless he chains the SP and banishes them both, but that doesn't make any sense. And then I still win if he does that. So then I go Fogblade, bring back Bardiche, activate Water Enchantress, grab right, summon tokens, summon Bardiche. That's already 41 that's on board. Then I would have gone the same exact line, but this time I would have done the same line that I actually did, but it would have been correct because I would have gone Cloak, set this, summon, add this, summon both, make Raiders Night, make Arc Rebellion, and so Arc Rebellion is 3k, right token is 2k, Bardiche is 21, so that's 71 damage already, and then SP is 16. But it's because the Arc Rebellion gains the original attack. So SP was at 800, but its original attack is 16. So that totals together to 41, 71, and 87. 87 minus 800 is 75, which is exactly what he was at because of my friend. And yeah, that's how I would have won. Unfortunately, I did not see that line at all, boys. It is what it is. That happens. I was a little nervous. I didn't think it all the way through. And yeah, we just misplayed. It happens, boys. It happens. Regardless, guys, I really like the way the deck performed. I do not think that the fact that I only had Droplets in the main was a hindrance. I think it was really good because I saw Engine every single time. I was able to, every time I went first, I was able to play, except for that one game, which either way I still won because I had still 3 interruptions. I like the Engine being able to like push through a lot, which gives me like the ability to play and still win even through like no non-engine. I think Droplets was the best choice for the non-engine. I think the side was great. Overall, honestly, I think I would not change a single card. The one thing that I had been debating for the longest was the Zombie Vampire or Unicorn, but honestly, neither of them came up, so it didn't even matter. And overall, I had a really good experience, guys. I will be showcasing some combos in my next video. Like I said, I end on like 7 interruptions, guys. I can end on uninterrupted. I can end on IP, Evil Swarm Nightmare, which is already 4 interruptions. Fogblade, which is 5. And then Griffin, which is 6. And then sometimes I already have another Fogblade or Wings in Graveyard to summon Bracer, which is 7. Or if Fogblade falls off, it becomes 7. So yeah, guys, I will showcase those combos off, and I hope you guys have a great day. I'll catch you guys next time.